Welcome to Just a Thought with Preston Baker. I started this podcast because I was triggered about a lot of things that are going on, whether it's community issues, politics, or just the direction that we are going through as a people. And I think that many people will share some of the ideas or the thoughts that I may share. And so this is why it was so important for us to launch this platform with the team here. And we're going to talk about it today. So again, I'm Preston. This is Just a Thought, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what I feel is going on and what really triggered me. Let me start it off. I'm a little bit into the politics. Okay, I'm a lot of bit into the politics and community. I'm a community organizer. And recently, a gentleman passed away. His name was Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk passed away. Rest in peace. Condolences to his family and friends. I'm not going to talk about him as a person or even his politics. You can look him up for yourself and you can come to your own conclusions of who you thought he is or he was. But I'm going to talk about the reaction and how it was dealt with. And I felt like on the conservative media and the conservative influencers that are out there, I felt there was this not so much empathy, more attacking what they felt the left side was doing. It was immediate to blame the left. It was immediate to say, he was killed for having a difference of opinion and blaming the other side. Even one news anchor was saying we are at war.
Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in LA. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us.
And I think that kind of rhetoric is crazy. Like, I want people to understand, like, the average person, right? Let's think about the average person. The average person may not do research, right? They might hear about an issue and get their information from a podcast host, get it from YouTube, get it from a news anchor. And that's as far as, and to the extent of where they get their information. And you can't blame people. I mean, you got to think people are waking up early in the morning or late at night to go to work, doing their shift, taking care of their kids, their family, their responsibilities. And a lot of times they get their information in transit when they get home eating dinner, watching the news real quick, and they have other things going on. So they're not really like going into this like detail uh of what's going on, right? So we get these like far right, far left kind of narratives, and then it spins, and then that becomes that belief. So a lot of what's happening now for the average person is they're getting clickbaited. Like we're literally getting clickbaited into, and it's driving on emotions. It's driving on our anger, and it's inciting emotions of anger that necessarily not might be the case if we knew all of the information. Like, let's be real. So going back to where I was at. So this kind of rhetoric on the passing before we know who the shooter was. Now they found out who the shooter, before we know any information of to the reason why, was already creating an echo chamber narrative of what it was about, blaming this group, and then attacking anything that they thought was uh, a criticism of this person. And I think that on both sides, I think there's a far left group, I think there's a far right group, and I think that the average person is like me, is moderate. We're in the middle. We just want government to do its job. We just want to make sure we have equal access to opportunities, and we just want to make sure that our family's safe, we're able to provide and live our lives, right? But then you have these groups that are clicking on our emotions, and it can affect us in many ways. You could put 2 people in a room, go through the same circumstances, right? And in that same circumstance situation for a year, you come up with 2 different perspectives of what happened, 2 different ideas, and 2 different reactions on how they dealt with it based on their personalities. And that's the reality. That's just the reality of who we are. My personality and your personality, there may be differences. Now, there's things we align, but for the most part, we are individuals, right? And we have to live in this thing together. And I did see some things from like social media accounts, but I did see condolences from the Democratic side and things of that nature. I didn't see anybody with any kickback rhetoric besides some of the things I saw online, which were like from the far left group. And I think in the middle, on both sides, people are just not aware that there are two far left, far right groups that they don't even make up the majority of the country. They make up basically maybe 15% on one side and 15% on the other side, but they loud. They know how to clickbait. Like they know how to drive social media and get your attention. And sometimes we just have to do the research and find out that information isn't fully accurate, or you're giving us part of the data that'll influence your narrative and push us in the direction what you want us to believe. And so we have to like look at these situations because this house is divided. I'm talking about America. The house is divided. Everybody's yelling and nobody's talking, right? So how are things going to get done on a national level, right? And how are we going to, this big boiling pot of multicultural country? This country is developed on so many different people from so many different backgrounds that have created this amazing experiment. And there's going to be so many ways to break it. But the reality is, it could work. It could get better. And the only way it's going to get better is being intentional of not going backwards and always going forward. And I feel like this group on the right now is really pushing us back. And we have to start looking and we have to start speaking and we have to start understanding. I watch Fox, I watch CNN, I watch MSNBC. I listen to those podcasts. It's probably more than the average person, but it's just to hear what people are saying. What are they telling their bases? And we have to be more intentional about finding out what they're saying. Because after this Charlie Kirk situation, we had HBCUs that had to put security lockdowns. I'm like, why? It's because of the narrative that's being sold on one side. And I think that we have to address this and we have to go forward. Like we have to go forward. We have to speak up. I think the average person is going to have to start looking at what's going on because things are happening right before our eyes. And it's kind of like you have a car, check engine light is on. You keep driving the car, right? You don't get the car checked out. You're like, I'm going to get it checked out one day. You know there's an issue, but you're not going to the mechanic. So what you do, you just keep driving it every day, driving it every day. It might have been you needed to change the oil. I'm not a mechanic, so I can't. I'm just using this example. It might have been you might have needed to change the oil. But you kept driving and kept driving, kept driving. That little problem, right? That little problem that we could have dealt with from the beginning now is an engine problem. It went from $100 problem to a $5,000 problem, right? And then there comes a point where the engine just stops and you got to tow the car. That's kind of where we're going. We have the check engine light on right now. And we have to really start saying, hey, we got to look under the hood. We got to see what's going on and really start identifying some of these key issues that we all agree on that we can kind of push forward to, hey, let's focus on that. Let's make a difference. But where we are right now, you're seeing historical achievements being overturned, pushed back. And this is a collaboration of everything that all the groups that have been a part of this American experience have come to achieve together. And now, more than ever, those rights are at risk. And it's because of narratives that are being sold literally right before our eyes on these podcasts, these news anchors, and everybody's has their own agenda. I feel like everybody has their own agenda, but nobody is really saying, hey, these are the key issues, let's focus. So I want to really push forward and go forward on where we need to go. I think that at this moment we need more voices. We need more people to get online, share information. That's what I'm gonna do. One of the things we're gonna do here at Just a Thought, we're not just gonna talk and put our narrative of what we see. I mean, it is the thoughts, but I want to hear you, community. I want you to light up the comment box. Tell me your thoughts on some of the things that's being said, And I definitely will make sure to share references in anything we talk about in the future as we move forward. But to really get to the clear point, I think that in this moment we have to find a way for the average person to get their voice heard. And we can no longer say that we're not worried about, things will work themselves out. I don't get involved in that stuff. We can't afford it. You can't afford to sit back on these things because your rights, your freedoms, everything our families fought for historically is on the line. It's not even a matter of it's a possibility. It's happening literally before our eyes. And I don't see a lot of pushback as there could be, as much pushback as it could be. And I think that that's where we are now. So it's time to push back, and we're going to kick off with this one. So thank you for tapping in today. I really wanted to just give an idea of where I see we are, but I know we can go to such a better place. I really believe that. How can I say this? I really believe that in the end, if you have enough people saying the same thing, which is the same thing happened on that side. So, like I said, with this situation that happened, there was an echo chamber of negativity. I feel it was negative. I didn't think it was handled in the most appropriate way as far as the reaction to things, right? Like, I'm not talking about the person. That's not my deal right now. We'll get to that in another episode. But at this moment, it's just the reaction and what is being said to the masses, what is being fed to us. And we have to start really looking at what we're listening to and what they're saying. Even to people that you don't agree with, you need to know what's being said in their platforms. What are their podcasts saying? What are their news anchors saying? That's why I like to listen to all the different channels, because I want to hear what everybody's saying. And it's not just far right that has echo chamber narratives. You have a far left side, right? So we're going to talk about it all. And I think the only way to efficiently get that check engine light fixed is to go to mechanic, learn under the hood. We got to look at ourselves. We got to hold ourselves accountable. We're going to have to start saying, hey, this don't make sense. We need to push back against it. And I think that's the only way this thing gets better. This experiment, the goal is always to leave the next generation better off than the generation that's standing here right now. Our generations before us, they've always left it a little bit better. Some generations left it a lot better. And it's all depending on the time, but what are we doing, right? So this is our moment. We're gonna have to speak up. We're gonna have to spread the word, and we're gonna have to get a little active. I know you're busy. I'm busy. I understand busy, but we're gonna have to get active. We're gonna have to do the things that are necessary to make sure that we hold on to those rights, we hold on to those freedoms, and we hold on to all of that was fought for to make this place a little better for us to live in it today. So that's important, not only to myself, but it's important to you, your family, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins. It's important to all of us. So thank you for tapping into Just a Thought. Again, my name is Preston. I'm a community organizer. I'm involved. And now we're going to organize community right here online. Thank you.